I was actually in the Supreme Court last week, sitting in on the James Gargasoulis case, and I was struck by the testimony of the police who had been surveilling Gargasoulis on the day of the Burke Street atrocity, and they were following him through the streets, but their superiors called them back and said, under no circumstances are you to attempt to intercept this guy, just let him go and keep surveillance. And we saw what happened. He started doing donuts outside Flinders Street Station, and members of the public actually stepped forward to try and hit the vehicle with a baseball bat. The footage actually shows police officers standing on the footpath watching this go on. I left the court case, I came home, I turned on the TV at 5 o'clock, and there's another atrocity in Burke Street, and the footage showed the police backpedaling from this guy with the knife, and a guy with a shopping trolley stepped forward. What is up with the rules of engagement, do you think, with the police, that they're not prepared to draw their weapon and use lethal force in these circumstances?
Look, I understand that the rules of engagement have been changed,
right,
but the question is whether or not the police have been sufficiently educated to implement them. I mean, these, I feel very, I feel concerned about what confronts particularly young police officers who are just on the beat in Burke Street or wherever, and suddenly they're confronted with this. So I think it's important that the police force ensure that all their officers and even, you know, the new rookies straight out on the street are sufficiently aware of what needs to be done, because I think the general public are very concerned that this sort of thing can happen. What
looked like to me is eventually some senior officers arrived on the scene, and it appeared to me as though one of the new arrivals is the officer that actually drew the weapon and shot the fellow, and maybe that's part of the process. But it does concern me that officers are walking the streets fully armed. They've got tasers, they've got capsicum spray, they've got batons, and there must be a hierarchy that they have to go through. You have to use this first and this first before you get to lethal force. And in that case, the guy was running at them with a knife, for goodness sake. One other thing, very quickly. A few weeks ago, this appeared on the ABC. This was breaking news. The US Senate has voted to confirm Brett Kavanaugh's nomination to the Supreme Court despite sexual misconduct allegations against him. Now, I've asked a few people at the ABC, never got an answer. Would it be appropriate for the ABC to say Bill Shorten may be our next Prime Minister despite a rape allegation against him? Can you see any reason why that would be an inappropriate headline?
I think there's become a practice in the media in the last decade or so to report allegations as if they were fact. It used to be the situation before that the media would not report an allegation or an assertion unless there was sufficient evidence to actually reasonably report it, whereas these days it seems, particularly since the age of social media, that anybody can make any allegation whatsoever and the whole circus moves on even if it's totally wrong.
I remember in 2014 I actually attended a Q&A session in Melbourne, and Tony Jones was on the stage, and at one point he said, yes, we're going to do a story on 7:30 tomorrow about the allegations against Australian naval personnel who were allegedly holding the hands of asylum seekers on the hot exhausts of the patrol boats. Do you remember that episode?
The story, yes.
And I put my hand up, and the floor walker gave me the mic, and I was waiting to ask the question. And the question I was going to ask, this was in March of 2014, Tony, why are you spruiking unproven allegations from some bloke in Indonesia when there are rumours about an Australian politician having a woman has come forward to the police claiming that she's raped? Why isn't the ABC promoting or reporting on that, but you are reporting on the allegations, unproven allegations about some bloke in Indonesia? I saw a double standard there.
Well, I think the media should be very careful about reporting allegations about anything, unless there is, a body of evidence that gives it some credibility.
Mate, thank you very much for your time. May I give you that as a keepsake? Thank you very much. Good on you. Bye. Bill Thompson for Polly Watch at South Bend.